Welcome to Be Encouraged. I'm Lisa, and today we are diving into real talk with Joe Heights, a longtime educator and basketball coach, and he is shaping students today through Goal High School. And Jim Krug, a serial entrepreneur whose career spans from trucking, real estate, and retail.
We are so excited about having these two gentlemen on today. You're going to hear about Joe and his coaching, right?
Yes.
Season when students were ready to quit. He's with Globe now, and he is really grabbing hold of people that aren't traditionally in school to help them on the journey. So that is so cool. And Jim, our 70-year-old business guy who's done a lot of different businesses, and he's had several setbacks, and he can help us understand how setbacks in business are pretty normal, but how you can move forward in the midst of them.
And even though they're walking on two different paths, they have one mission: preparing people for a future with hope. Let's get encouraged.
If I wrote a book about the mistakes and the lessons I've learned in my life, it'd be a book thicker than the Bible.
I knew at that moment in 8th grade that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. There's no such thing as a bad experience. You take all the ingredients that life gives you, and then you take those, create something, and become the person that you always wish you had, so that somebody is thankful and says, I'm so glad that person blessed me because they made my life better.
Don't think about the great big world. Take a look at your small world that you live in and how you can impact that world. And if each one of us does that, we'll make the world a little bit better for each one of us every day.
Welcome to Be Encouraged, Colorado's voice for growth and good. I'm Frank.
I'm Lisa.
Yes, indeed. And today's show, Lisa, is brought to us by Crescio, who helps entrepreneurs and business owners use AI to modernize operations, reduce overhead, and create more predictive growth. You can visit them at Crescio.com to learn more. And guys, we left you a flyer. Please make sure you take that with you, because Crescio is amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, those are their bad points. And today, did I steal your line? Yeah, that's okay.
I'm used to it.
You're used to me stealing your line.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, let me steal some more.
Okay.
Today, we're joined by two remarkable leaders, one shaping students in the classroom and the other building businesses across Colorado. And they welcome, man. We're so glad you're here. We just
welcome, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm still on.
Yeah, they tried to give you a break, but no buffer for you, bud. You don't need one.
No buffer for me. Right on. Thank you. What is the biggest challenge, gentlemen, that you've overcome in your journey? We'll start with you, Joe. What's the biggest challenge?
As a longtime teacher and a coach, and is that a personal question or is that a
business question?
A business question?
How about yes?
Yes.
We love challenges from a personal side because it kind of leads into the business side as well.
Yeah. Being the person that I always wish I had, and and trying to overcome naysayers and people saying that whether it's motivating a team to be able to overcome odds or personal odds. And then, like I said, my journey I thought was going to go in a totally different direction. I thought I was going to stay in athletics and be an athletic director. And then when I came across Goal High School, our students face challenges, and to be able to see and to be able to be a small part of being able to allow them to overcome their challenges and their hurdles. I wish I would have found it years ago, even though I probably would have stayed in coaching. Things happen at the right time and for the right reason. And this is the greatest opportunity and experience I've ever had in education, and I've been in it for a long time.
That's awesome. Young man, Your turn.
Well,
Tell me about the biggest
probably
challenge.
the oldest one. I refer to myself as a 70-year-old dinosaur. You know, I often tell people that if I wrote a book about the mistakes and the lessons I've learned in my life, it'd be a book thicker than the Bible. And if my friends and family wrote a book about the things I forgot about, that book would be even thicker.
Wow.
So, you know, when you take a look at life, I have done so many different things. And sometimes you think you make a mistake, but that mistake is like going down the road. If you take a wrong turn, you never know where it's going to take you. And I can look at some of the things, some of the mistakes I made in my life wouldn't have gotten me to the point where I married my wife and have a fantastic son.
Yes.
And if I would have taken other roads, then that would have never happened. You know, so that's really, when you take a look at life, you know what, you just have confidence in your abilities, know that everything's not going to be perfect, and you just try to do the best you can.
Yeah. Funny how we think things to be perfect when we're imperfect.
Right?
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That we would think that way.
Well,
Yes.
you know, my wife has this idea of a perfect world. What would a perfect world? No one can describe it, because then your life would be boring. If everything
Exactly.
was perfect, wouldn't it be boring?
Exactly.
I mean, look at all the people that have all the money in the world, and they still don't enjoy life.
Exactly.
No, right.
And they lack kindness sometimes and lack of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, Joe. So you've dedicated over 30 years to high school education and coaching. What first inspired you to invest your life into students?
I'm fortunate. I had some great role models when I was young. My 8th grade PE teacher and basketball coach. I'll never forget a moment when we were getting ready to release out of our junior high class, and this kid standing on the left of him looked at Coach Wara and said, you know, how much do you get paid for, he goes, do you get paid for this job? And Coach Wara looked at this kid, and I thought, what a dumb question. And Coach Wara looked at him and he said, well, why would you ask that? And the kid goes, you look like you're having way too much fun doing what you're doing. And at that moment, and how much I idolized Coach Wara, I knew at that moment in 8th grade that I wanted to be a teacher and a coach of being an athlete, you know, whenever those days ended. And so I was one of those strange kids that went into school knowing exactly what I wanted to be. And
Wow.
That's great.
That is strange.
and then
Yeah, it's so rare.
and being able to enjoy, you know, 31 years in the classroom, 38 years as a head coach.
Wow.
But this chapter, like I said, I've put together many teams, and you know, and the nice thing is, one of the best things about being at Goal High School is, yeah, I can be the assistant principal of our site, but I've never lost that coach teacher mentality. And so the approachability, I get to actually be an administrator but connect with students at a level that I did as a teacher and a coach. And motivating young individuals to be successful is every bit as rewarding, if not more rewarding, than motivating teams athletically to be successful.
Wow.
Because the wins that we just had a 30-year-old mother of 4 graduate in May. I'm also in charge of the over 21 program for our region. And I don't like to be in charge of anything, but they tasked me with that. And I thought, well, if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
Yes.
And to watch her walk across the stage, heck yeah, she's 30 years old. And heck yeah, she'd walk across the stage with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And guess who was sitting in the front row was her kids.
Aww.
And she wanted to make her kids proud and show them how important education was. And that I would trade every championship, everything for moments like that. Yeah,
That's
it's pretty
incredible.
cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, but you didn't have to trade. You got to experience both.
Yeah, and you know, people ask me if I miss coaching, and I say no, I don't miss people yelling at me from the stands telling me they can do it better than me. But I coach every day, and I've got an incredible team and a credible staff that if I do my job and support them, the adults, then they'll pay it forward. If I make them feel validated and supported, they will pay it forward and support our kids. And it's a good gig.
So
Good
amazing.
gig. Yes, indeed. Jim, you've had a diverse career, my friend, from trucking to real estate to retail. What first drew you into entrepreneurship?
Well, my dad was self-employed since I was age 9.
Oh, my.
And my dad was a workaholic. I mean, he'd be working till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I learned a secret. When I went to high school, I was in sports all the way through, but I always went down and worked. My dad was a mechanic. I go down there and work at the end of the night. I learned there's one way you can ask, my dad, about 10 o'clock usually I'd be working, and I said, if I wanted to work more, I'd say, what do you want me to do next? If I wanted to go to bed, I'd say, is there anything else? There was never anything else. Okay, so you kind of learn when you're in business. There's a lot that you have to do. When you're in business, you get to choose your own direction. You make your own mistakes. You have to pay your own prices. Anyone in business is going to make a lot of mistakes. And everyone that is rich and famous has made a lot of mistakes because there is no guidebook a lot of times for doing it, especially when you're starting out with something different. My best career actually I was in the moving and storage business for a long time. I moved people when they relocated back in the really good days, the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I used to put on, a lot of miles. I used to meet so many great people that would do it. And those people have left kids all over the world, all over the country now. But I got to see them. And I'll never forget one gentleman that I had. He was moving to the military. And he had a son. And it sticks in my mind. He was a master sergeant. And his guidance to his son was, son, just remember when you go to prison, don't drop the soap. So you take all the points that you've learned from people around your life, and you sit there and learn from them. And pass those messages on. It's it's a lot of good thoughts when I think about some of the people I've met.
That's awesome.
Look what stuck out for you.
So, Joe, in education, every student comes with unique struggles, as you know, especially where you're at today. What's been one of the toughest seasons, and how did you stay committed to the mission?
You stay committed because you're investing yourself in helping them share that load and their struggles. I just told a group today in our orientation, I'm blessed. I've never worked a day in my life. I get at our site at 6 o'clock in the morning. Our outdoors don't open until 8. I do that by choice because I want to make sure that I'm prepared so that my team, I can make their efficiency as high as possible and to be prepared for whoever walks through the doors. But to be able to assist other people in allowing them to be at their best and make it through those struggles. There's been days that, I've cried and I've been challenged and I've been frustrated, but I wake up every morning thinking, who can I impact today? And if I was gone, there's a great quote that says, if you want to be happy, I think Nick Saban said it, if you want to be happy for an hour, eat your favorite meal. If you want to be happy for a day, go do your favorite event or go do your favorite hobby. If you want to be happy for a month, buy a car. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, do something at a level of excellence where if you were gone, people would miss you. Aww. And I try to live to where if this were my last day, they'd be remembering the things that I helped them get through their most difficult times.
So and I'm going to back that up a little bit because my store is right next to his school. And it's very rare that I beat him to work, and I'm usually to work shortly after 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
He's got the lights on before I do.
No competition here, but
Well,
truly dedicated.
Coach Knight used to say everybody's got the will to win, but very few have the will to prepare. And I'm not the sharpest crayon, but if I work hard, I can be prepared and maybe look smart.
Wow.
I want to follow up on that, Lisa, with your permission, of course, is that because you keep talking about coaching and give us a brief synopsis of where you've coached, what you coach, and what you've coached.
Yeah.
Started a long time ago coaching girls in Clarksburg, California. I was about 19, 20 years old. And then I moved to boys in 1992.
Moved where?
To the boys' side. I used to coach girls.
Okay.
So I got my first big job at Del Oro High School in California, which is outside Sacramento. Spent 10 years there. 2002, moved to Colorado. I was at Cheyenne Mountain for 8 years, and then went to Ohio for a brief 3-year stint, and then came back in 2012, and I was at Vista Ridge High School for 12 years. And all varsity high school basketball.
Basketball at Vista Ridge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've coached, you've got quite a resume there, my friend. Coaching teams, and I'm from North Carolina. So you know what North
Carolina, and this I'm hoping that's the right color blue.
No, I'm a North Carolina fan.
Okay, all right.
If you're a Duke fan, you can get out right now.
Oh my God!
That is the right my color blue, by the way. My two favorite teams are North Carolina and anyone that plays Duke.
Yes.
Exactly. So thanks for letting me ask you that. Jim, owning, because I'm a business owner as well, and owning and running businesses ain't easy, right? So tell us about a setback you faced in retail or trucking and how you worked through it. What kind of resilience did you gain out of the mistakes that you've made?
Oh, wow. There's so many of them, because anyone that is self-employed always thinks you're going to be successful quicker than what really happens. And so to have the patience to be doing that, and then also to be able to take a look at what's not working and fix it. And then probably one of the biggest mistakes I've made throughout my lifetime. And I owned restaurants in Wisconsin in the 70s. I had numerous trucks.
I
had 9 trucks. The one thing that I've learned, and the mistakes that I've made, and I'm trying not to make it again, is that when you have a business, focus on one location. When you've got that location to where it's maxed out, then you should look at a second location. Because what happens is when you try to open up multiple locations, you spend more time working at the other locations, but you still have a lot more you could be doing at your other locations and really make that right. And because you have to divide your time, as a small business owner, you are the owner, are the main focus of that business. And when you're no longer there and you have to depend on other people, it's usually not going to continue to be as successful as if you're there all the time.
Wow, you sound like Joshua with Crescio. We were just holding that conversation with him last week. That's incredible. That's wisdom.
Yeah, and he's young and he's
look at
learned
him.
it already, which is really cool.
Yes.
So, but such wisdom, and you can tell the years that you've invested in these spaces, right? So how did you get into Colorado, by the way?
I was actually I was moving furniture back then. I was with a major van lines. I can't remember which one it was at that point. I think it's probably Grable Van Lines, who's no longer in place. And I got married. And my wife was offered an opportunity to manage a Claire's boutique up in a Westminster Mall. Her friend had moved out here. And since I really didn't have anything tying and driving me around the road, I could call anywhere home.
Yeah.
So we came out here. When that marriage didn't work out, I still stayed in Colorado because I'm from Wisconsin originally. And let me tell you, the winters are cold and the mosquitoes are big.
Oh.
Okay, so those two things keep me in Colorado.
You had me at the mosquitoes. They love me.
I met my wife, and we've been married for 30 years now, the 7th of July. So she's got 2 kids of her own here, so we'll probably be in Colorado for the rest of our lives.
Congratulations.
So, thank you.
Yeah, wow. When you're here, where else would you want to be?
Exactly.
This is my 42nd year here.
I've traveled, when I was on the road, I've traveled just about every highway in the United States. I've been in every state. I didn't drive to Alaska or Hawaii, but I have visited them. For all the other 4 states, I've been to places you don't even want to know that exist. I've been down roads that are scarier than heck. But I've been to a lot of small towns. I've been to a lot of places. And there's a lot of good places to live in the United States. Yeah. It's really about making that particular place that you're living your home and participating with what's going on.
I learned that as an Air Force wife. Every time we'd move, I'd just plug in immediately to all the tourist activities, what's best here, and then I would put the kids in sports to get them plugged in right away, and it's very helpful to be live in community, whatever's happening in your surroundings.
My wife was an Air Force brat, and her dad was in the Air Force.
Oh, yeah.
Fortunately, the Air Force doesn't move as much as the Army does, for instance.
Right, yes.
But her dad was in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
Stuff like that, too.
Incredible.
So there's a lot of people that do that. We get a lot of people in this city that have military people. We have a lot of customers in our store.
Yeah.
And the challenges that they face is you give them a lot of credit and a lot of respect for what they do.
Yeah. Air Force brought me here as well. That's the track. Why don't we flip these questions so I don't be asking him everything, you don't be asking. Okay. Just so we can do something a little bit different. Go.
Okay, it's my turn to
Your
talk
turn.
to Joe.
Yeah. Talk to Joe.
All right, Joe, goodness. Goal High School focuses on alternative education, excuse me. How do you help students see their future when others might have written them off in community?
Well, and this is something I'm so proud to brag about with Goal High School. I thought I was going to be an athletic director. That was my next natural step, I thought, was helping young coaches mentor them. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was going down that path, and I happened to put in an application at Goal High School, almost forgetting that I did it, because there was an online assistant principal job that was open, and I thought, let me cast the net out there. And I had forgotten, because I was in interviews for athletic directing, and I forgot that I'd even applied. And then I get a phone call from our regional principal, Kyle York, and one thing led to another. And I call it the absolute best kept secret in education. What we're able to do for students that, I remember when I was interviewing, they asked me why I thought I would be a good fit. And I thought, well, I've taught CPR and been an EMT, but I've taught CPR for 20 some odd years. And one of the phrases in emergency medicine is you do everything possible to save that victim. And I used the analogy, and I said this is kind of academic and in some cases life CPR for some of these kids that otherwise wouldn't have another chance. Mm-hmm. And we get them from all different backgrounds. We're able to do what brick and mortar schools just can't do because of the flexibility. Mm-hmm. We have between 37 to 39 drop-in centers around the state. We're the largest largest high school in the state of Colorado with over 6,000 students. Colorado Springs has 5 drop-in centers here.
Explain to people what drop-in center means.
So we are an online hybrid school. So a student, let's say, Frank, you wanted to come, let's say you called us up and said, hey, do you have something for me? I'm a 19-year-old student, passed a few classes in my high school career, but, I'm really behind. Is there any way I can graduate? We would say, absolutely, get yourself inside the door. And then what you would meet is, in a drop-in center, it's a full wraparound support team that has myself, an administrator. We have 2 administrative assistants, a licensed counselor, a counseling assistant, a social emotional generalist, 5 what we call academic coaches, and 4 Colorado licensed teachers of 4 different academic areas, all of whom are there waiting to support our students from an academic standpoint, a social emotional standpoint. We're open, the hours are 8 to 4, Monday through Thursday for students. We're a drop-in center because they don't come to school at 8 o'clock. We're not telling them where to go, where to move. They can come and go as they please. Oh. If you wanted to do your entire education online, you could. The only 2 times you'd have to come into a site is for orientation, which is what I did this morning, and for state testing in April. So
what if they don't have computers?
We give them a computer.
Oh,
we're actually
so
we're a Microsoft Showcase school. In fact, we're one of the most recognized, largest Microsoft Showcase schools in the United States.
Wow.
And so every student gets a high-functioning Lenovo computer. They get a hotspot if they need help with Wi-Fi. We take them through an orientation. They take a test to kind of assess where they're at academically. And then they can do their whole entire degree online if they want, or if they would like, what we try to tell students is come in 2 to 3 hours a day, 2 days a week, and let us have some opportunities to be there and build resources for you. Not only do we have academic support for them, we have resources, any barrier that could be keeping them from succeeding. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have teenage mothers that are in there. We have students that, for whatever reason, brick and mortar schools didn't work for them. Maybe it was they got into some trouble. Maybe they made some bad decisions. One of my favorite quotes is, don't measure me by my yesterdays. I don't live there anymore.
Yes.
And that's how we open our mission statement of trying to develop productive members of society, and then trying to allow students to be at their absolute best in a caring, supportive, and personalized environment. When I heard those 2 statements, I thought, the angel started singing, thinking this is where I want to spend the rest of my career. And all those years of coaching, I use every technique I've ever used in coaching, minus the X's and O's, to help motivate these students and show them the support. But yeah, and if they want to come in 4 days a week, they can.
Well, we do the O's. We have a hug campaign. So if you want us to pop in to hug your kids,
There you
we
go.
will.
That'd be awesome. And then they can pursue trades within our program. They can actually take college courses at Pikes Peak State College.
Wow.
Everything's on our ticket.
Incredible.
So a student could literally come in as a freshman or a sophomore with a goal and say, I'd like to graduate high school and get my associate's degree from Pikes Peak State College at the same day. Can that happen? And the answer is yes. The beautiful thing is they're not going to spend a cent. It's going to be on Goals ticket.
Now you two collaborate a lot together.
We do.
Do you want to unpack that for our
I'll
audience?
brag about him. One of the resources that food insecurity is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, we provide resources. We try to find access to resources in the community that could possibly be there to help a young parent, help them find housing, help them, and then food, obviously. And with Bargain Mart right next door, I went and introduced myself, and I met probably the most generous person and compassionate person I've ever met with regards to a love for students. And so he's been down that path. He's seen people that have struggled, and I think we both probably struggle in our own lives with that. And so he allows us to be able to serve our students through his graciousness. There's a table that we have up front, and it basically says, if you need me, take me, and no questions asked. And just so our students don't have to go hungry. It's hard to focus. It's hard to even put, Maslow said the hierarchy of needs. If you're not getting food, shelter, and support and safety, it's really hard to be your best version of yourself. And so we've collaborated. He's given some of our students some opportunities employment-wise, in addition to, but he's an old school traditionalist too with regards to you've got to do some schoolwork.
Yeah.
Because it's great to give you a job, it's great to give you some food, it's great to give you these supports that you need, but at the end of the day, being a productive member of society means you need to pay it forward to somebody else, and you need to take these things done for you and be able to use them to maybe help somebody else. So it's been a great relationship.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? Wow. I don't need to ask you anything. He just give you props all over the
Yeah.
place. Right?
The thing is that they actually pay more attention than just the students. They have outreach people that also pay attention to the families. And there are times where we get a phone call and say, we got a family that says they have no food at home. And they come on over and we load them up, and they help out the family, because,
And when he says load them up, he literally means take a shopping cart. I remember filling up a trunk for a family who one of the mother was struggling medically, and the young man was humbled enough to be able to say, we're hurting and I need help. And we brought that over to Jim, and Jim literally is like, get as many shopping carts, we're going to load up boxes. And to see the tears on that woman's face when we unloaded an entire trunk, and it just kept coming, and we're like, no, we're not done yet. And she's like, well, what do I owe you? And I said, you don't owe us anything,
That's
man.
incredible.
So that's pretty cool.
It is challenging. I do have one of my employees that is one of their students, and I'll tell you, I give a lot of credit for what they have to deal with. This young lady's been working for us for probably almost a year now. She's either quit or been fired 3 or 4 times, but then she calls up and says she needs help, type thing, and now for the last several months she's actually been doing much better. And
So she's been fired 3 or 4 times from your job, from your company?
That's very rare that I would do that.
Yeah.
But part of it is my mom raised 5 kids, and after we were all gone, she did foster girls for a long time, and a lot of these girls, and I'm seeing it a lot with the young women that come in to hire. The young women these days it's hard to understand what their lives are like and what type of guidance they're getting, what direction they're going to. And the mental stress that so many of them are under is so difficult. And this particular lady, the young lady too, it's hard to imagine. I mean, she was adopted with her siblings, didn't really have role models and stuff like that. And then her adopted mother moved out of state when she was 15 years old, so she kind of fell through the cracks for a few years. And then she got involved with Gold High School. She's been a challenge for them, but she's finally starting to realize the importance. And that takes a lot of patience. I have so much credit for Joe and his team
And for
what they do over there.
And for you.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like a tough love
To
situation,
me, it's
right?
relatively easy because, to be honest, I have great employees.
Yeah.
And so my employees are the ones helping them out. When Joe needs help, when they need food, my employees get it to them. And so
You're right. He is old school. You know why he's old school? Because he don't want to take any credit. Right? Don't want to take any credit, and we're not letting you get away with that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people could be doing what you're doing, but you're doing it. A lot of people won't do the things that you're doing to help people, but you're doing it, right?
But there is a little bit difference because there's an awful lot of people that donate their time. I mean, all these food banks and food pantries all depend on volunteers. I'm not a volunteer. I'm fortunate that I'm able to incorporate my business to help other people, but I'd be honest, I would never be able to be a volunteer for another organization and have someone else telling me what to be doing. I get to set the rules, and then we pass on. But my employees are so great. I mean, all my employees have the authorization to help people if they see people coming in, that need help. You always got to be a little careful because there are people these days that take advantage of that.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, we want to make sure we're helping people out. And they know the people that do need the help.
You know, Joe, when I asked you who you wanted to bring on, you were immediately Jim. Jim's my man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice. I mean,
I can see why.
We tell our students, Goal High School is like the best friend you always wish you had. They have to come motivated, but sometimes even students are not motivated. And so there are things that could get Goal High School to break up with you, so to speak, and to exit you from the program because they've got some responsibilities on them. But the nice lesson is, and he preaches this through those repeat opportunities, we may have to exit a student for them not adhering and being in compliance with regards to attendance or for whatever reason, or maybe they just decide I don't want to be there. But when they figure it out, just like he just said, when a young person figures it out, sometimes it's a life event that has to trigger that. And when they wake up one morning and go, what have I been doing? And I want to reinvent myself today. Goal High School is there with open arms. Jim's there with open arms. And we're saying, hey, we've just been waiting for you. But you have to wake up and decide this is something you want for yourself. We can't want it more than you.
That's right.
That's right.
I love it.
I say, I feel like an old dinosaur because life was so much simpler 55 years ago when I was in high school. And I was sitting here thinking about, because I had no idea what you guys wanted to talk about. And I sat there, what would I not want to repeat? One, I would never want to be a child under the age of 18 anymore. I would never want to be a parent with kids under 18. And I would never be a teacher. Okay, because I mean, just the way the world has changed and all of the stuff that is pulling at kids and families and everyone else, and just the financial stress for so many families to be able to survive. And my goal is that I never want a kid to go to bed hungry. I mean,
why is that, Jim? Why do you care?
My mom was a fantastic person. She's in heaven now, but my mom. She was so involved with the church. She was always there for people whenever they needed help and stuff like that. And with their foster kids, I was on the road. I wasn't home very much during all that time. But my mom was really a giving person. My dad, he was a workaholic. I mean, he wasn't really involved in the family life or the stuff that I did. But my mom had great friends, really involved with the church, and really was there to help people out without judging, because that's the toughest part. It is nowadays is that, and I have the same conversations with my wife. You can't really use your values for a lot of people these days because you have no idea where other people have come from and what they've gone through there. So all you can do is try and help to be there as they make their decisions. You can't make the decisions for them. They're not going to make the right decisions all the time, but it's their life. But you can still be there to help. And like I say, the biggest thing is food. And I'll be honest, I really don't spend a lot of time with the homeless because the homeless have all the tools, all the resources in Colorado Springs are designated homeless. My goal is for the working families trying to raise kids not making enough ends meet to be able to do that. That's why I keep my prices low this month. Everyone gets 10% discount. Usually it's senior citizens and military people just because they have school expenses and stuff. We're giving 10% to everyone this morning. And my prices are really low. I mean, it's a big hit to the bottom line. But, at the same time, at 70 years old, I am focused on
the give back.
focused on what my mom's thinking of me.
Yes, that's so great.
Yeah.
He turns 70 next year.
Yeah, 69 next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm close to you.
You know, you'll never catch up though.
No. And guess what? Don't want to. I'll let you win that one, my friend. You know, Jim, I want people to really get there. First of all, I had this question in my mind. Is GOAL an acronym for something?
No.
GOAL?
No.
No, it's on a K. I'm
No.
serious. I thought it was an
Yeah.
acronym.
In fact, one of the every year they have kind of a slogan or a mantra that they put a contest out and to see, you know, what the inspiring quote would be for the year, and they offer it to all employees to come up with it. So I actually tried to create an acronym out of it. Mine didn't win, so we'll just leave it at that. But I liked it. But anyway,
Yeah. And Bargain Mart, Jim, for someone listening who dreams of starting their own business, but they feel overwhelmed. Man, have I felt? Have you felt that? They feel overwhelmed. What's one step that they can take today towards pursuing that dream?
Boy, you know, nowadays it is so tough to do any type of business. So it really depends on where your passion's at and where your experience is at. And you almost have to have the knowledge of what you're getting into, and then having a mentor that can help you do that. You know, when I started Bargain Mart, the people that had actually started, I bought an existing store, but the people that I bought Bargain Mart from, he was actually my supplier, but he was also mentor. We don't always agree on things, especially like pricing and stuff like that, but he was there to give me guidance and stuff like that. I've still made some mistakes on my own. I've been in 12 different locations since 2005 when we started. I closed down for a year in 2015 to 2016, and you know, making changes. I probably have the best store I've ever had right now, but
Nice.
I'm focused 100% on it.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
now before it was always sometimes more like a sideline because I had my trucking business. I made really good money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when my son when my son was in high school, I was focused on him during that time period. From then, so I was there for my son when he grew up. Once my son went off to college, then I was back out on the road again.
So, Joe, I have a question for you. Life lessons with your students. Give us a testimonial that you've heard that they've actually applied. What was their life lessons from graduates or current students?
and this goes across. I mean, we would always call them transferable truths.
I love that.
And to be able to, you know, whether I was coaching or I was fortunate in the classroom, I was able to teach health and leadership, and two subjects that pertain directly to life after high school. And so, I mean, there's a long list of, I mean, hopefully if I've done my job right, I'm fortunate because of the relationships I built through being a teacher and a coach. The quote that says, "You never knew if you were successful until 10 years after you're done." And what I've been fortunate, and I've been blessed to have students that gave me the permission to care about them. When they come back 10 years later, I had a former player of mine just called me up a couple years ago, and he's like, "I just want you to know, not a minute goes by, not a day goes by that I don't impact or influence my daughter with something that was impactful to me when I played for you or was in your classroom." And he's like, "I never realized." He goes, "I don't know how you've done it as long as you have, because you know, you give us these life lessons, and at the time you're giving them to us, we don't realize as a hormoned out 16, 17-year-old kid, we're like, this guy, you know, is a dinosaur. He doesn't know what he's talking about." And then when we get out and we experience life, and I love the quote that says, I've been your age, you haven't been my age.
Yes.
And he's like, when you were imparting this information, we thought you were crazy. And then when we got out, we realized everything you were preparing us for was giving us success, not only on a basketball court or in a classroom, but was for life.
Yes.
And he's like, "I don't know how you do it, because when we finally get you, we're 20, 25 years old looking back, and you keep going back into the trenches with a bunch of, you never get to reap your benefits."
Yeah.
Because once you get us pushed out of the nest, set up for life success, then you go right back in to those same students at that same age that don't understand you. And I said, "Yeah, but it's for this phone call." when these phone calls come. Like I said, if you
So
can
good.
leave the world a little better place than you found it, and you do so without taking any credit. Wooden used to say you can't live a perfect day without doing something for somebody that'll never be able to repay you. I never asked for repayment from these students. I just hope that their life's a little better because that was in it. So,
Yes.
and now goal, I get to be a part of an organization and work. I get to serve my team, and I've coached a lot of really good teams in my day. This is probably as rewarding of a group to coach and to support, so that see the magic that they do with the students, and then they get to take all the credit for it. And if I can make their job a little bit more efficient, a little bit easier for them to do what they truly love, then I've done my job.
So good.
That is, wow. So, we've connected themes today, and I'm so glad you guys know one another and you're supporting each other in the journeys. Education and entrepreneurship and business ownership. So we see some themes that are really connected here today, and we're so thankful. What would you say, Jim, to our audience about? I'm going to flip the script for both of you right now because I'm going to make this up on the fly. All right? Flip the script. What would you say to people that are considering Goal High School today? What would you tell them as a promotion for Goal?
You want him to start?
Yes.
I want him to say
I think that the challenging part for a lot of kids these days is how do you get motivated and how do you look forward to the future? When you think about if I was a parent, what would I be guiding? I was fortunate. I was able to send my son to Fountain Valley School, which is one of the best places. It was expensive, but I'll be honest, by the time I got done, it didn't cost anything because college was almost free with what they had there. But the experiences there were experiences that, I'll tell you what, I wanted to go back in time and go there myself. Because when I look back to my experiences in high school, I went to small Medford, Wisconsin. High school was 1,000 students, and we all knew each other. And nowadays, people don't really know each other. The families don't know each other. It was a small town. My parents owned school buses. When I talked about my mom knew every kid in town.
Nice.
If I did something in school, my mom knew before I got home because she was a school bus driver. Okay? But, kids, there was so much more to do. And it's like, I grew up in Wisconsin. And when you got done with high school back then, Wisconsin had the biggest tavern league in the United States behind Pennsylvania. But all of the bars used to do foosball tournaments, baseball, bowling, baseball, curling, all sorts of things, so that people that once they got out of high school had stuff to socialize with. They don't have that anymore.
No.
When the drinking age went to 21, all those people from 18 to 21 couldn't go to the bars anymore, and you didn't have that social network. And that's what I think we're seeing a lot of problems with people when they get out of school. They no longer have the network, they no longer have the friendships, and they're making bad choices. And I wish there was a continuation for those people that don't go on to college, because they don't have that type of structure for being able to do stuff. So I would like to see more follow through as to how we could do it. And I have the answers. I really don't. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. But I wish we had more to carry through, because it's challenging from a business standpoint of trying to offer people that really don't know what direction they're going into, what motivates them. Just like the young lady that works for us, it's hard to motivate them. And I think Joe probably has the same thing. How do you get people motivated looking at the future when the world's going through so much right now?
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, same thing for you, my friend.
For Goal High School?
For Bargain Mart. What would be your shout out for Bargain Mart?
Well, like you said, working with people that are working so hard trying to make ends meet, and knowing that there is a compassionate leader of an organization, in this case a market, that can take that burden and maybe not eliminate it but make it lesser. The struggle of knowing whether or not you're going to put food on the table, and being able to support your family, and again, when those basic needs aren't met, everything else kind of takes a second. You're in survival mode, and he takes survival mode, and his staff they all model his caring, and so when you walk in, you feel that welcoming. And even I go in there a lot, most of the time, just to go see him in the back room, which I get lost in there because he's hiding behind some pallet somewhere. I just have to walk in and yell his name, and hopefully I can, I feel like I'm gonna have to crawl over all these pallets to get to him. But he's constantly working on supply and inventory and taking things in. But looking at the appreciation of the families that shop there, sometimes I'll just make connection and greet them, and you can see the appreciation that they have, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to afford it.
Yeah.
And if I could also, with Goal High School, I spent 31 years in brick and mortar. In brick and mortar implying your traditional public school, and that was great, and it is great for some students. I survived fine going through, being an athlete and being connected, but I used to see classmates, and as a teacher and as a coach, I would see students that it wasn't working for them, whether it was social anxiety or bullying or choices that they were making, or just, sometimes they have learning disabilities and struggles and challenges that's sitting for most schools are on a block schedule now, and they have to sit for 90 minutes. And not every teacher has adjusted their teaching style to be able to hold a student's attention for 40 minutes, let alone 90 minutes. And that poor student is being labeled. I mean, if you have ADD or ADHD, to ask that student to sit there and be on task for 90 minutes,
right.
You're going to end up labeling that student as somebody who they're not. When in my classroom, I used to have an opportunity where I didn't care how many times a student got up and down, they could pace in the back of the class and so that they could pay attention to me. Yeah. But you can't do that in a math class, or you can't do that in a science lab. Goal High School provides true alternative education that brick and mortar. If brick and mortar is not for you, Goal High School will give that personalization, that experience that is supportive to that person, and that can meet their needs.
That's great.
If I could kind of expand a little bit on my own experience, my son hated public school. When he got to 4th grade, he did not want to be in public school. I mean, he was talking suicide, he was talking whatever in 4th grade to get our attention. And we actually got him into this little church school called Salem Lutheran. They're no longer teaching anymore. But there was like 15 students in there, grades 1 through 8. Half of the kids that were in there were just normal kids, smart. My son graduated summa cum laude from American University in D.C., and he did very, very well. Okay, and like I say, he went to Fountain Valley. I think he graduated 3rd down there. But he went to this elementary school. The thing that I like the best about it, and probably the same thing that they get at Goal, is that you can have exceptional kids there. But at Salem Lutheran, everyone had to be on the basketball team, or they didn't have a basketball team. And there were students that would not fit in normal schools. And they are students that normally a lot of students would associate with. My son learned how to accept people for who they were. And I've seen that with his friends that he's had in college and stuff like that. There are friends that say, really, that's your friend? But he is a good friend to them because he accepts them for who they are. I've learned a lot from my son.
Yeah, we can tell.
That speaks to character.
We can feel the pride rise in my friends, so that's awesome. We've had an opportunity to hear from 2 outstanding men today, Joe Heights and Jim Krug today, working together to help in the space with people on the margins, food insecurity, education, and moving people forward. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you for all that you're doing, changing lives.
Yes.
All right. So our whole mission is to infuse hope and encouragement to the world. So I'm going to start with you. I would like you to look at the camera and encourage the world.
You have 30 seconds. To encourage the whole world.
When you think about the world, it can be overwhelming. So what I normally tell people is don't think about the great big world. Take a look at your small world that you live in and how you can impact that world and what really affects you, and then focus on that, because that's what you control. We don't control a lot of the other stuff, but if you control, and if each one of us does that, we'll make the world a little bit better for each one of us every day. So make that world smaller.
Thank you.
Love it.
Right on.
You're next.
I like to cook, and I use analogies all the time. And I firmly believe that life is kind of like a recipe. And I don't believe there's no such thing as a bad experience. You can learn from anything. And so my recommendation to all my students, and if I was to try to inspire somebody on that, is you take all the ingredients that life gives you, and then you take those, and even if it's something that you wouldn't put in your recipe, you've learned as much from how not to do things as how to do it. And then the ultimate goal is create something and become the person that you always wish you had. And as you're going through life and you see things happening the way you don't want it to happen, take those mental notes. Don't put that into that recipe. Put something in that recipe of your life that you get to actually be the person you wish you had, so that somebody is thankful and says, I'm so glad that person blessed me because they made my life better.
Right on.
We're sponsored by Brandon Krug from Planet Duck.
Yes, he's the owner of Planet Duck, and he has the largest vacuums, strongest vacuums. And what is his slogan again, Frank?
Yeah, they're stronger than the vacuum of space. And Brandon and his family, with his 3 children, are just incredible. I know them personally. We've had a great opportunity to know them. He's a great family man. 25 years, been married to, what is his wife's name? Gaba?
And she is a beautiful artist, and yes, they have an amazing farm as well. But he loves the Colorado Springs. His give back throughout all local businesses in town is amazing, and we sure do appreciate him in town.
And one last thing, many of you didn't know this, but Brandon has mentored many small business people in this community.
Yes.
His give back to our community is exceptional. So they really are
Stronger than the vacuum of space.
Look up Planet Duck.
That's it for today's episode of Be Encouraged. Be sure to follow us, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and listen to all of our shows at beencouraged.net.
Indeed. And once again, thank you, gentlemen, for being with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
You bet. Absolutely. Real talk, real growth, real Colorado. Stay encouraged.